What is up, world? Jeff Lerner here. Always excited to be going live with my family, my peeps, my community, my world, my passion. You are my passion. Like, for real, that's not just a cliche. You are my passion. My passion in this world is being the bearer of the good news, which is, I don't care how messed up the world is. I don't care what the TV says. I don't care what the papers say. There is a ridiculous amount of opportunity out there right now that is just sitting there. It's just sitting there for everyone, for anyone to take advantage of. Hey, babe, my wife, my beautiful wife, Jacqueline is here. Thanks for being here and supporting me always. But guys, like, it's so crazy. This whole week, I've been doing interviews, kind of in my groove, doing what I do. And the theme that keeps recurring all week is that there is so much opportunity out there. What's up, Christian? What's up, Barbara? Appreciate you being here. I got so many people coming on Instagram. I can't even keep up. But this is the deal. Like, there is so much opportunity in this world, and yet there is so much pessimism in this world right now because there's a disconnect between all this opportunity, this like insane amount of opportunity. What's up, Andrew? Appreciate you being here. And the vast majority of public consciousness that thinks that things are bad right now. Everybody thinks things are bad right now because they're getting their belief system about their own life from the television. Television has one job. Television has one job. What do you think that job is? It's to sell ads. That's all they care about. They just want to sell you ads. And the way they sell you ads is they get you to watch. And the way they get you to watch is they get you scared. And they get you tuning in thinking that life will either get better because you're watching, or at the very least, you can enjoy a nice moment of escape and distraction from watching. What's up, Kia? What's up, Andres? What's up, Miko? So many people I got to say hi to. Oh my gosh, what's up, Gavin? Appreciate being here. What's up, Yesh? El Jefe, Camden. Hey, you know what? I got made fun of for being fat in school too. I did. Yet another thing that people act like it's so complicated. It's so confusing. It's so hard to make the change. No, I'm wearing the shirt because I got up this morning to go work out and it still hasn't happened yet. So it's a long story I won't bore you with. But yeah, I'm dressed for my workout that hasn't happened yet. What's up, Cameron? Appreciate you being here. Or no, not Cameron. Greetings from Cameroon. What's up in Cameroon? Glad you're here. I was just on a call with a guy named Cameron, so that's kind of funny. That's why I had that little slip there. But yeah, like it's nonsense, man. Like, I want to go out into the world. Anybody who's out there right now acting like things are so bad, things are so hard, I literally want to punch them in the face. Not because they're upsetting me or they're affecting me, but because they're creating this like spiral in the world right now that's like, oh, things are so bad. We're damned. We're doomed. Like, this year has accelerated and intensified the opportunity that already existed, but it has thrust it to the place where I can confidently say, this is the greatest moment of opportunity in human history right now. Right now, October 2020 is the single greatest moment of economic opportunity for the average person in all of human history. I'm not exaggerating. That is not hyperbole. And that is not opinion. That is fact. Mike, what's up, my man? Appreciate you being here. So let's talk about this. Why? Why is there such a disconnect? Why isn't everybody agreeing with me? Answer: follow the money. Always follow the money. Why am I out here sharing the world, sharing the good news? Frankly, I mean, admittedly, I started out of a spirit of goodwill and building goodwill and giving back and paying it forward and all that stuff. But the reality, and my business shares information around how to take advantage of the opportunities in the world. And yeah, I have been watching Bitcoin. In fact, I'm a little frustrated with Bitcoin. It keeps going up too fast. Every week, I have an automatic purchase that buys more Bitcoin every single week. And I want the price to hold back longer so I can accumulate more and more and more and more before it goes up. But clearly Bitcoin doesn't care what I want because it's shooting up regardless. So there goes my dollar cost averaging strategy. But regardless, it doesn't matter. Bitcoin is just another example of the huge opportunity in this world. There's so much opportunity in this world, and there is such a pernicious lie in the world that makes you think that things are scary right now. And I'm going to tell you why. And by the way, this isn't new. This isn't a new phenomenon in 2020. This isn't specific to COVID. The world has been wired this way for a long time. Since the early 20th century, when they constructed our educational system to basically support, actually it was in the 19th century, they constructed our educational system to ultimately support the factory production model. That's why they have you get out of class at 9:48 a.m. at the ring of a bell. Think about it. What other organization in the world operates on those weird timelines? Like, oh, we break at 9:48 and we reconvene at 10:02. Factories. Factories are the one other place in the world that operates on these little ridiculous increments of time instead of just running everything on the hour or the half hour, because factories are all about economizing and optimizing for efficiency. And they found if we give the workers a 14-minute break instead of a 15-minute break, we can squeeze out a little more productivity, right? And so they set up the schools to indoctrinate people to jump at the sound of a bell and to be where they're supposed to be in 7 minutes or 14 minutes or whatever the allotted transition time is, because they're conditioning people to go work in factories or corporate environments or offices where everything is rigid because it's run with the intention of squeezing every drop of productivity out of human beings. And I don't care. I'm all about squeezing productivity out of human beings. I want to squeeze every drop of productivity out of myself, but I don't want to crush people's souls in the process. I don't want to put out the fires of independent thought and action in the process. I would rather empower people with strategies and opportunities and tactics to go get everything that this world has to offer. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. Now, why are all those other people that I'm fighting against doing what they're doing? I'll explain it to you. Imagine that you run a school and the government tells you, Mr. School Administrator, you have to be able to educate 5,000 students per year, or else you're going to lose your job. Well, does it serve that school administrator to go, okay, 5,000 students, let me tell you all about the opportunities in the world. Let me tell you all about the cool and creative things that you could do to get, build your value and create your own, empire in this world. No, that doesn't serve the school. That's messy. That's a lot of work to support that many people. Rather, the schools just want to go, listen, here's one size fits all curriculum. Sit in your desk, study this, jump when the bell says jump, sit when the bell says sit, take this test, pass. We need to be able to handle 5,000 students with as few teachers and as few administrators as possible, because we're subsidized by tax dollars and there aren't enough of those to give a more effective, more creative approach to education. Schools need one size fits all curriculum. So what do? They completely omit the entire set of options and opportunities that are available to every young person in this world that could actually send them out into the world to achieve the life that they truly want. Instead, they'd rather hoodwink you and say, you can get the life that you want by doing this, following these steps, taking out these loans, going to this college, doing this again for 4 more years, graduating, getting a job, doing it for 40 more years, still jumping at the sound of the bell, still taking weird 7-minute breaks, doing whatever we've conditioned you to do. And by the time you're 65 and you realize that it didn't actually go where you thought it was going to go, it'll be too late. You'll be screwed and you'll have to settle for whatever you have at that point in your life. That's the school model. Governments, why doesn't the government come in and change it? Of the people, by the people, for the people, right? Why isn't the government on our side? Well, what did the government put in place several decades ago that makes them permanently enmeshed in the production of employees? They put one simple thing in place: tax withholding. Employees prepay their taxes. They never get the money. So the government doesn't have to chase them around to get the tax money because it's withheld from their paycheck. Whereas entrepreneurs, if I don't want to pay my taxes, I don't. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not going to suffer penalties and interest. But the point is, I have a different relationship with the government than an employee. because I get all the money and I decide if, when, and how I'm going to pay my taxes. Now, I do pay my taxes. You should pay your taxes. But the point is, the government's uncomfortable with people like me because I control the money and choose to pay taxes with it. Employees, they never have a say in the matter. The taxes get withheld. The government wants to produce employees because employees prepay their taxes, which makes it easier for the government to collect the tax revenue. And then the government uses that tax revenue to force the schools to produce more employees, because if you don't meet the standards the government puts in place, the schools don't get the federal subsidies that allow them to operate. It's a loop, right? And then it happens again at the university level, because universities, in order to subsidize all their modern dance majors and the research into, social theory of butterflies and all the stuff that the universities want to do, because they live in this academic utopia where they don't have to actually produce monetized results, they rely on alumni donors, and alumni donors are usually corporations that have strategic relationships with universities, or they're high-placed executives at those corporations who kick back alumni donations to the schools. The schools have to participate, or else they won't get their federal funding and they won't get their donations from alumni and corporations, right? And then the industries, the factories, the manufacturing, the tech, the research, all the big business, the blue and white collar industries in this world, they have to have employees coming in that will accept a certain low standard of life quality, being controlled, being told what to wear, being told where to sit, being told how long to sit there, being told when they can stand up, when they have to sit down, what they have to do with their time, being tracked, being measured. The industries have to have that. And the number one way that they keep people hooked on it is because by the time you come in and get the job, you've already taken on a bunch of debt. You've already taken on a bunch of debt. So you have to have the job. And by the way, as quickly as possible, they're going to try to get you to buy a house. So you put yourself on a 30-year mortgage. So you have 30 more years of debt. So you have to keep the job, right? You see how it all stitches together? And then there's the military. The military needs you to fight wars. You're 17 years old. You're just a dumb teenager. You don't know what you're talking about. But when you're 18 years old, you're smart enough. Here's a gun. Go fight a war. Put your life at risk, right? How the hell is the government going to get, or the military going to get people to make that trade? Easy. They convince them that you're not going to be successful in this world without a college education. And if you can't pay for your college education and you don't qualify for a scholarship, come fight a war for us and we'll GI Bill you into a free education. Right? So the government, the military, the industry, the universities, the grade schools, and then I mentioned mortgages, mortgage lenders need predictable borrowers. They don't, have you ever, if you're an entrepreneur and you live off of 1099 income, have you ever tried to get a mortgage? How hard is it to get a mortgage? What's up, Jordan? I appreciate that. How hard is it to get a mortgage when you don't have W-2 income from an employer? I almost said how much money I make. I make a lot more money than most employees, and I have a hell of a time getting mortgages because I don't submit W-2 pay stubs, right? The mortgage lenders want predictable borrowers. That's why they prioritize and emphasize that you have to have W-2 income, because then it reduces their insecurity around giving you the loan, right? Investment banks. What about investment banks? What about Charles Schwab? What about Goldman Sachs? What about Morgan Stanley? What about, E-Trade Bank? How do they make their money? They sell you crap commission-based financial products like annuities and certificates of deposit and all this garbage that no really, really wealthy person would be caught dead putting their money into. But they need you to want to buy those things and to be too ignorant to know that they suck, so they can pay commissions to all the people that work at the banks. And then you have the retail banks, the people that issue the credit cards, that rely on debt-laden, ignorant consumers so that you can what? You can contribute to the $1 trillion in consumer debt. 3 largest categories of debt in this country in order: mortgages, student loans, credit cards. Follow the money and you will understand why no one is telling you to start a business. It's not because it's really riskier, especially when weighed against the probability of having a really successful outcome later in life. It's actually much more likely that you're going to retire with millions of dollars from owning a business than it is that you're going to retire with millions of entrepreneurship only benefits you. It's not in anyone else's agenda to teach you about it. Why the hell would the military want you to become an entrepreneur? Then you don't need college. Then you don't need the GI Bill. Then you won't come fight the war. Why the hell would the colleges? Then you're going to graduate. You're going to go invest your own money into your own growth rather than kicking it back to the college that spat you out to go work for Deloitte and Touche or whatever, right? Why would mortgage lenders want to give loans to entrepreneurs when instead they can hook into the debt loop and the dependency loop by prioritizing W-2 borrowers? Why? Because everybody's just covering their own ass. Anyway, that's the world we're in. And what I hope has happened this year is everybody has gone, oh my word, what a crock of shit I've been bought into this whole time, man. What a false illusion / delusion of certainty I was sold, when in fact, the only certainty around the traditional path is that you're very unlikely to have the outcome that you want in this world. It is extremely remote that you will go to school, get a job, work for the man, check all the boxes, follow the straight and narrow path, and actually get to your retirement with enough money to have a quality retirement, especially as long as we're likely to live now and in the future when we retire. That is the only certainty. I can be certain. You send me a copy of your W-2. I can look at what you make. I can look at what you do for a living. I can Google the stats on that industry or that career category, and I can give you certainty that 40, 50 years from now, 30 years from now, 20 years from now, when you're 60, 70, 80 years old, whatever, your life quality is going to be very, very tightly capped and limited and restricted because of the compromises you made on the premise of a false exchange that you were sold your whole life. That's the certainty. So start a damn business. Woo! How about them apples? So anyway, look at the world today. Look at the world today. The World Health Organization says right now there are 264 million people in the world that are diagnosed with clinical depression to the extent that it needs medication. 264 million people that are diagnosed with clinical depression requiring medication. Extrapolate from that, there's probably 1 billion or more people that are at least somewhat depressed. Only 14% of the world reports as actually being, quote, very happy. And that's people that self-report. And usually people self-report optimistically. It's probably even lower than that. Depression is the largest single cause of disability in the world. And it's comorbid with all of the other major health problems in the world. I'm talking cancer. I'm talking hypertension. I'm talking heart disease. I'm talking diabetes. I'm talking metabolic syndrome. I'm talking arthritis. Depression, the state of mind that most human beings have, is a direct reflection of the bogus trade that they bought into when they were young and the dawning realization over time that it's not leading where they thought it was and that they feel like it's too late, mostly because they haven't been properly informed as to the alternatives. Why do I do what I do? I'm out to cure depression. I'm out to cure cancer. I'm out to cure obesity. I'm out to cure hypertension. I'm out to cure a lot of diabetes. I'm out to cure a lot of arthritis. I'm out to cure insolvent retirements. I mean, how am I going to cure all that stuff? By spreading one simple truth, which is that for most people, you'll be better off starting a business. For two reasons. One, financially, you're actually more likely to get where you want to be owning a business. The other is because you will be checking the box of freedom and independence that is written into the code of every human organism. We want to be independent. We want to be free. Our country was founded on the premise of that every human has a right to pursue life, liberty, and happiness. And you do. But the way you pursue life, liberty, and happiness, and this was in the original premise of the U.S. Constitution, was starting a business. We were never founded as a country where the pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness was about being conscripted into a one-size-fits-all formula that bullshits everyone. That was never the premise. The founding fathers would be disgusted if they could see the world as it is. Not just the politicians, not just the career politicians. We were supposed to have what were called citizen statesmen. Citizen people who worked, who had businesses, who were merchants, who were farmers, who were lawyers, who owned their own practices or their own businesses, who took a certain amount of time and voluntarily contributed by participating in the government that runs our country. Those were the founding fathers. The founding fathers were all entrepreneurs. They were all business owners. They were all citizen statesmen. And the intent and the model that they were wanting to procreate, so to speak, throughout the future of our country was business owners volunteering part-time to run the country. Instead, we've ended up with full-timers bleeding the system dry, espousing nonsense that conscripts everyone else into a pathway to disaster and depression. And the statistics verify and validate what I'm saying. This is not my opinion. It's a fact. It's a lie. It's a fallacy. It's a distortion. It's a travesty. It's a crime in my world. Look at the comments. If you're on Facebook, people have quit smoking, people in better moods, people managing their own diabetes better. Listen, the entrepreneurial way, the entrepreneurial life is about so much more than finding a widget you can sell for money. It's about taking control. It's about becoming empowered. It's about realizing that the true cause of depression isn't poverty. It isn't sickness. It isn't environmental contamination or pollution. The true cause of depression is one word: dependence. Dependency. In therapy, in Adlerian psychology, they teach you that dependency breeds hostility. I'm gonna add to that prolonged, unrelenting dependency with no end in sight also creates depression. And by the way, hostility and depression are very often two sides of the same coin. Dependency breeds hostility. Prolonged dependency breeds depression. And both of those things, dependency, all three, dependency, hostility, and depression, are a function of the bogus promise that we were made when we were young by our educational system, by our government, by our military, by our financial institutions, and sadly for many of us, by our own families, because they didn't know better. That's what I have to say. Thank you. I would love to go on Joe Rogan. Somebody please send a message to Joe. Let him know it's time. This Jeff Lerner guy has something to say. Let's get this shit out there, because not because Jeff Lerner needs a platform or whatever. It's because the world just needs to be fixed, man. It's like enough's enough. The world just needs to get better. It's so frustrating, man. I feel like, and I don't even know if this is true, but there's a doctor, man. What was his name? If anybody that's watching that knows, who's the doctor that supposedly figured out how to cure cancer? And he has a method. Jacqueline, if you're watching, we were researching this for your mom at one point. He's got the clinics around the world. I'm so frustrated I can't remember his name, but there's a doctor who supposedly like 50 or 100 years ago figured out this way to cure cancer. And here's the thing. I don't know if he really did. I'm not saying that he did. But what I am saying is that if he believes he did, he must be a very, very frustrated individual. It's driving me nuts that I can't remember this. I'm going to look it up. Cure for cancer. It's not, and again, this is by no means the direction that I'm trying to go with this conversation, is like curing cancer or something. But there's a doctor, I got to let it go or it's going to bug me this whole time. There's a doctor who, no, it's not Dr. Sebi. Anyway, he has clinics in Mexico. He has clinics in Costa Rica. I think he's passed away now, but his method is they have clinics in Mexico, Costa Rica, Europe, all around the world, but they don't have them in the United States because it's not FDA approved or whatever. Can you imagine how frustrated this man must have been for the rest of his life going, I can actually help people with cancer and they just won't hear me out? The whole cancer system is so broken and I have the answer and nobody wants to hear it. Think about Dr. Atkins, right? He came up with this keto methodology and he's like, yo, I can cure all these health conditions. I can cure obesity, but nobody wants to listen. It's too crazy. It's too progressive. It's too radical, right? And then you think about, just people, and Cassandra, it goes back to mythology, the Cassandra complex, a woman who was blessed to know the future, but cursed that no one would listen to her. I am starting to arrive at that level of commitment, passion, and frustration. We can fix the world. We can fix the psychology. You set people from depression. You give people back their autonomy and their independence and their sense of purpose and drive and self-determination. You fix all the bad stuff. You fix so many of the health conditions. I'll bet you would get rid of half the cancer, because cancer is driven by oxidation, which is driven by free radicals, which is driven by stress, which is, I believe, caused by a sense of hopelessness and dependency. You'd fix so many things if we just helped everybody go back to the realization that, hey, I'm better off controlling my own destiny. I'm better off starting my own gig. I'm better off generating my own income. I'm better off enrolling into a mutually beneficial value exchange with the world, where I create value and I receive value in return. And the more value I create, the more I can receive in return. Unlike my job, where it doesn't matter if I work twice as hard or I produce twice as much, there's no way they're going to give me a 100% raise. The world would be so much better. And that's why I'm so fired up. That's why I get up every day fuming and breathing heavy and hot and ready to go. And I rant to the world every day. And the good news is it's growing, because it's truth and it's resonating and it's landing and it's getting picked up. But we're going to go as big as we can with this. Get me on Joe Rogan. Get me in the White House. Get me with the International Monetary Fund. Get me at the World Bank. Get me at the World Health Organization, because I will tell them the one simple truth, which is that if we give back the power to the individual person to understand how much opportunity there is in this world, and that if they just get good enough at the skills, they can capitalize on it, and they don't need that degree, and they don't need that debt, and they don't need that job, and they don't need anyone to be okay, we will change the world. I would argue we might even save the world. That's why I do what I do. Today might be a short one, honestly. I got so much to do, and I think I just said quite a mouthful. Let me look through the comments here. I'm just so grateful to all of you that are here. Marie, appreciate all your support. Taylor, appreciate you being here. Great post the other day in the group. Jeff Lerner, Joe Rogan Podcast 2020. I love it. It'd probably be 2021. He's probably already booked out through the end of the year, but hit him up. I'll hit him. And actually, ironically, I've already been hitting him up. I have a team that reaches out for podcast bookings, and I'm gonna search it, but I'll bet you that they've already messaged him. Let me see. Oh yeah, Joe Rogan. Hey Joe, I'm in love with your show. It'd be an honor. Oh no, this was actually to have him on my show. I need to tell him to actually ask if I can go on his. It'll be a while. Look, I'm patient. I got time. Here's the thing. I'm an entrepreneur. I got this memo a while ago. I took matters into my own hands. I built the life I want. I have time. I have flexibility. I have freedom. I'm not clocking in every day. If I want to message Joe Rogan 10 times a day, I can. But I'm patient. There's a lot of good work to be done. But it's coming. It's coming. It's going to happen. Anyway, I'm so grateful to all of you. Peter Nay 93, my friend, thank you so much for being here. Quincy, Ethan, Dr. Gerson, thank you, my friend down in New Zealand. Dr. Gerson, the Gerson Institute. That's the guy. I don't know if he cures cancer or not, but I know that he thinks he did, and that he was probably frustrated as hell for a good chunk of his life because people weren't getting the memo. I'm going to make sure that people get this memo. I'll spend the rest of my life doing it, and I'm willing to die trying. All right, world. Thank you so much. I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.